Last week we talked about Roku versus Google TV. If you haven't checked out that video yet, then go do so. We're looking at which interfaces are the best for the users. And this week it's Google TV versus Fire TV. This one is much more of an apples to apples comparison since they are very, very similar devices. But which one comes out on top? Let's dive in. Alright everybody, thanks for joining me today. If you like this video, if it's fun or helpful or whatever, then go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and join me on Fridays for the live streams that we do for about an hour every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We do giveaways, games, all sorts of fun stuff. Hope to see you there. Now, as I said before, Google TV versus Fire TV is more of an apples to apples comparison than when we had Roku in the mix. Why is that? Well, it has to do with our first category, and that is neutrality. When you have Google TV versus Fire TV, you have Google versus Amazon. And so they both have their own content that they want to push along with the interface that you're using. So if you're on Fire TV, obviously they're going to want you to rent or purchase things on their store. Same with Google. Whatever you search for, they're going to push you a little bit toward the Google Play Store. So it's almost a tie. Like I said, it's really, really close in most of these categories between the two devices. But in the case of neutrality, I'm actually going to give the edge here to Google TV. Simply because, yes, they do have very similar types of results when you use the search function and search for a title and ways to watch it. Yeah, they're going to push you toward their own services. But on the main interfaces, when you're just browsing around looking for something to watch, then the Fire Stick pushes you much more strongly toward their properties. Whether that's Fire TV or IMDb TV, they're going to try to get you to watch things on their platforms. Google could do some of that. They don't have quite the same reach as far as on-demand streaming services, but they do have YouTube, obviously. But still, on that main page for Google TV, they're pulling in stuff from all sorts of different sources. They're not tying you down as much to one branded source. So I like that. When it comes to ease of use, this is the category where we ask if you gave this to somebody who had never held a streaming device before, how quickly could they figure it out? And in this case, we're going to call this one a tie. Both of them have reasonably simple interfaces, but there is a bit of a learning curve, but neither one really comes out on top. Neither one has an edge, so we'll give them both a point here. Next up, let's talk about recommendations. This is, if you log on and you're not sure what you want to watch, how helpful is the interface in guiding you towards something that you would find interesting to watch? And in this one, the edge does go to Google TV. They both operate very similarly, they both offer recommendations, but because Fire TV is so closely tied with Prime Video and IMDb TV, it limits the amount of recommendations that it's going to give you. You can still find other ones if you keep scrolling, but you're going to have to scroll for a while. Over on Google TV, I do think they have a better algorithm for serving up interesting things to you, and they're pulling those in from all sorts of different streaming services. So Google TV takes the point on this one. When it comes to search, these, again, both operate very similarly. Google TV operates with the Google Assistant. Fire TV operates with she who shall not be named, lest I turn on all of the devices for you. So it's simple. You speak into your remote, you tell what you want to watch, it'll search where you can find that, where you can watch it. Both operate very similarly. However, Fire TV gets the edge here because I did run into a few instances where on Google TV's platform, I would search for something that I already knew where it was available, and Google TV would miss it. And so they would just direct me to buy or rent that title on the Google TV Play Store. Not exactly what you want. So yeah, edge, Fire TV. App availability is definitely a tie. There weren't any huge holes in either interface when it came to which apps were available. Yes, there will always be this or that little minor app, but when it came to the major stuff, the stuff that the bulk of us are going to be looking for, both platforms had it all. So yep, tie. Parental controls is a topic that not everybody is going to be very worried about, but for those of us who do want good parental controls, it's very important. And the edge here goes to... I feel like this must be Twitter because I need to break in here with a well actually, because I was going to give the edge here to Google TV because it had features that Fire TV didn't, but I had forgotten that with the new Fire TV update, they actually have a lot of the same features that Google TV does when it comes to parental controls. So now both devices, or I should say both platforms, can offer screen time limits, bedtime limits, app limits in a kid's profile, that sort of thing. So both of them are looking really good. I was going to give Google TV a point, but I'm going to give them both a point on a tie on this one, and I'll just update that later on in the video when we have our final count. Next up is sideloading. Sideloading is another kind of niche topic. It's a power user move, and sideloading refers to the practice of getting third-party apps online and getting them onto your streaming device. So this is done sometimes if you want to get, say, an internet browser that isn't available in the App Store, or TV and movie channels or game emulators, what have you. So again, it is a bit of a power user move. But for those who actually want to do it, I give the edge to Fire TV on this one. For one simple reason. Both of them operate roughly the same as far as how you go about sideloading and how easy it is, but Fire TV gets the edge here because the devices that you get for Fire TV tend to have more storage than what you're going to get with Google TV devices. Really, when it comes to standalone devices, right now we only have one, and that is the Chromecast, and it has pitifully small storage because of the robust nature of the interface. So it's great in some ways, but not very great as far as sideloading other apps and getting a bunch of stuff on there that's going to soak up data. In order to do that effectively on the Google TV, on the Chromecast with Google TV, you've got to get additional hardware, additional plugins to make that happen. So Fire TV wins on this one. When it comes to the remotes, this is another very close one because they are close in terms of what they've got on them and what they're capable of doing. Both Google TV and Fire TV have remotes that are capable of doing TV controls and voice controls and all sorts of things like that. They're both sleek, but what it comes down to is I think the Google TV remote is a little bit more pleasant to hold in hand. Hey, that's just me. I know that's totally subjective. However, I will also say that the new Fire TV remote is more cluttered than the old one was. They've added some app buttons on there. They've added a live TV button. It's also got playback controls on there that are totally redundant. A play, fast forward, rewind, but you can do that with the directional wheel already. So why do we have that on there? Other than cluttering up the remote, I'm not sure. So edge on this one goes to Google TV. Now let's talk about ads. When we talk about ads, in this case, we're not talking about the ads that you watch during your content, we're talking about the ads on the interface. In both cases, the ads aren't too intrusive, but Fire TV both gained and lost a point, which kept it at a tie for me. They gained a point because when you hit the home button, it takes you, instead of going above an ad, it takes you below an ad, so you don't have to click through that ad to get to your content. But they do lose a point for having a very prominent ad right under that first row on their home screen. Now, these may sound like nitpicky things, but as you're using these devices, using these interfaces on a daily basis, it's those little things that matter. So since neither of them really pulls ahead of the other, I'm going to go ahead and call a tie on this one as well. Lastly, let's introduce a new category, and that is design. Both of these interfaces are functionally very, very similar, but which one comes out ahead on design? Well, I really like a few things about the new Fire TV interface. They've done a good job cleaning up how many menus you have to search through. So you've got your Home tab, your Find tab, and your Live tab. Then you can search through your own apps, you can go to settings. It's all very easy to see right there in the middle of your home screen. So I do like that. And over on the Google TV side of things, it is similarly very, very simple to navigate. However, Google TV does have one thing going for it on the design aspect, and this is subjective. I would love to hear your comments and whether you agree or disagree below. But the Google TV interface is just a little more round, spaced out. It isn't so claustrophobic as the Fire TV interface. So as I scroll through Fire TV, everything is very, very close together. Everything is very squared off, and it just feels crowded as I go through that interface. Google TV, on the other hand, isn't going to show you as much info on a single screen, but in my opinion, that can be good. You don't have quite that same information overload, so I do like the way that it's laid out. They also do some pretty clever things where, you hover over an app and the background subtly shifts color to match that app, so purple for HBO Max, red for Netflix, and so on and so on. Little things like that where Google TV just killed the design and made it pleasant to be in the interface so you don't feel crowded out like you do with Fire TV. So point Google TV. And with that, we have our results. Fire TV comes in with 5 points total, but Google TV walked out with 8 points in this head-to-head matchup. So Google TV wins. Again, I'm not talking about devices on this one. I'm just talking about the interface and how pleasant and how easy it is to use for, your typical average user. So yeah, do you agree with me? Hit the comments below. Let me know what you think. If I was advising a brand new cord cutter, I would point them toward Google TV sooner than Fire TV. But of course, there are other mitigating factors that we didn't even get to today. So again, hit the comments, let me know what you think. Like this video if it was helpful or fun or whatever. And don't forget to join me on Fridays for those live streams. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I will see you next time.